is suing her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, for the cost of a car and childcare.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy at the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case 2195, Sherrod versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Desiree.
Ms. Surratt, you and Mr. Vasquez were in a relationship for a period of time and have 2 children.
Correct.
Together. How old are the children?
I have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 8.
How long did you and Mr. Vasquez live together, if you did live together?
It was a lot of off and on, so I would say maybe a combined time of 8 years.
And does your daughter enjoy a relationship with her father?
Unfortunately, no.
Is that correct?
As far as I knew, that she had a great relationship with me.
When was the last time you saw your daughter, sir?
We spoke just a couple of days ago. You know, she has more time with friends now, but I do speak with her on a frequent basis.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you wait outside? Okay? Because, Ms. Surratt, I don't believe in, unless it's absolutely necessary, and certainly in this situation, it doesn't sound to me as if it's absolutely necessary to have your teenage daughter as a witness over a couple of $1,000s, which you may or may not be entitled to. Certainly, her father is in touch with her. She said he's in touch with her, which means that they communicate and that they have a relationship. Because I read the complaint and I read the answer, and I have a few basic questions. You're suing Mr. Vasquez, who you haven't lived with in many, many years, but who you share, according to what I've read here, joint legal and physical custody. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that pursuant to a court order?
Yes.
And when was that court order made?
I have a copy of it, so I can tell you.
2011, Your Honor. 2011.
Was there a trial, Mr. Vasquez?
There was a trial, Your Honor, yeah.
Were you represented by counsel?
I represented myself.
And what about the plaintiff? Did she have a lawyer?
She did, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a copy of that order.
It was from 2017.
Well, there was one in 2011.
This is the original one. It hasn't changed since then. We have parenting and legal custody, and a child support order, which is separate.
Judy reviews a document.
Oh, so the 2016 order, the ex parte order, originally granted Mr. Vasquez custody of the children. Yes, you were the respondent in that case. It said on October 28, 2016, petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, filed a motion to establish custody and parenting time. The petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, seeks joint legal and physical custody. The petitioner also sought an order granting sole legal custody of the children based upon the allegations that his daughter was watching his son without supervision for extended periods of time and that his daughter was not attending school. Child Protective Services did an investigation and actually found that you were not sending your daughter to school.
Correct.
And she was staying home and she was babysitting. Okay. Would you tell me, without my having to go through this whole thing, was there a child support order entered?
Yes.
Ultimately, and ultimately the children remained with you?
Correct.
The final order. And what was the child support order?
The child support order initially was $93 a month. I think I have a copy of it. And then to increase based off cost of living adjustments every year.
Is that $93 a month for both children?
For both children.
Okay.
Yes.
The order was ultimately increased. How much do you pay in child support now, sir?
$230 a month, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, that's not the order.
Well, I asked how much you pay. Were you ever in arrears of payment?
I was at one point, and then I caught up, so I've been caught
Well,
up.
they're catching up, so that $230 may be partly arrears. What is the order?
Oh, I'm completely caught up with my child support.
So the current order that you're paying is $230 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what you're suing for. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez agreed to pay half of certain sporting fees that the children had that are not contained in the child support order, and he didn't. So you're suing him for that, and he says that you never had such an agreement, that you enrolled the children in sporting activities, and then came to him and said, do you owe me half? Am I reading that correctly?
Your Honor, that's correct.
That's your position?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the plaintiff's position that you wanted to change the child support order to not what he was paying, but what he was paying, and half of their sporting activities.
We actually had a verbal agreement.
Well, I'd like you to tell me when that took place, what you said to him, and what he said to you. So tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably, just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
Caption coming up.
Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money. Certainly wasn't today, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, if we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Desiree and Curtis.
Desiree Surratt claims her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, owes for the cost of a car and childcare. Curtis is countersuing for car repairs and vacation expenses.
Tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably, just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
No, in person.
At your home?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation. What did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but...
Well, that's why we bring these things quickly, because now it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was basically, well, he wants to play this sport, Angelina wants to do track, this is how much it's going to cost, and his response was just, okay, let me know how much it is, and I'll pay half.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not quite correct. We don't have just conversation. We don't have any conversation at all. We communicate via text, and I rarely get a response. I've taken care of...
Just a second. We're talking about this one instance.
Okay.
She said that you had a conversation with her where you agreed to pay half of their sporting events. Based on that, I assume that you enrolled the children in the sporting events, paid the fee, and then said to him, this is your half. And he said, I'm not paying that half.
That's not correct, Your Honor. I didn't agree to pay half.
No, I'm not saying you agreed to pay half. That's what her position is.
I actually enrolled my son into soccer.
When?
It was this summer in July, and he was supposed to go for a month, and she took the kids out of the state without my knowledge for an extended vacation. And so I didn't have her pay half of that, and when she came back, she wanted to make that up to him, but that's without my knowledge.
Okay. How much did you pay for soccer?
$75.
So you never had a conversation with her about paying half of this? And it was never reduced to a modified order of the court because you have a court order for support. Okay, so I'm eliminating that. You want to change the order of support, you have to change it in court. Now let's move on to the second thing that you think that he owes you for. Cell phone. Let's hear about the cell phone.
He opened a cell phone account for my daughter.
When?
I don't know when it was.
When did you open a
established.
cell phone account, sir?
About 7 years ago.
And he paid it? He opened an account and he
Either
paid it?
him or his dad. It was a business account.
I don't care.
I don't know
You
who
didn't
paid
pay
it.
it.
Correct. I
You didn't pay it. So your daughter has had a cell phone for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you didn't see the bills for it?
Correct.
Okay, so he paid it.
Somebody paid it, yes. Yeah.
He paid it.
I paid it, Your Honor.
You didn't pay it.
Correct.
Okay. So now you want money for a cell phone. For what?
Just for the last 6 months that I paid, I never agreed to, so I'm just asking for
Then
half
take
of
the
that.
phone away.
Well, she's 15, she's got
I
a job,
understand that.
and
I understand that. Who bought her the phone?
I bought the phone.
Okay. And how many years ago did you buy the phone?
It was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. And it was paid for on his plan?
No, I paid for the phone cash.
No. The bills, ongoing bills, were paid for by him and the phone that you bought her 1.5 years ago, because you said you've been paying the bills for 6 months.
Yep.
Is that correct? Whitney, didn't you say I've been paying the bills for the last 6 months?
Yes. Correct.
Well, so when you first got the phone for a year, he was paying the bills.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he was paying the bills for 7 years, but certainly after you bought the phone. But prior to that, she had a different phone. She had to have had a different phone because he was paying the phone bills for 6 years. Who bought that phone?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I purchased that phone. It was the iPhone XR.
Okay. So you bought the first phone, you bought a second phone. Very nice. And he paid the bills the phone bills for 6 years and you paid it for the last 6 months. It's not part of a court order. If you agree to do that, you agree to do that. What are you getting courts involved for?
I never agreed to pay the cell phone.
Well, he never agreed to pay his cell phone when she was 13 or 12. Your parents. He paid it for a long time. Now you're paying it. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a realtor.
You work in a family business?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the family business.
It's children first and foremost. You know what's best for them.
No. The family business, sir.
Oh, the family business.
You're in real estate. Is it a family
It
business?
is not a family business.
It's just yours. And you've been in real estate for how long?
For about 3 years now. And prior to that, I was in sales. That is a family business, and it's real estate marketing.
That's a family
That's
business.
family business.
You're not involved with that
I am.
anymore. You
Also.
still are.
Yes.
Who owns that business?
Dad,
Your father.
he does, yes.
How many employees do you have?
Just about 10, Your Honor.
So your father employs 10 people and you're one of them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what does your father pay you annually?
Oh, it's commission only, so no benefits.
And in the other real estate operation, do you have your own office or do you operate out of your father's office?
My own office.
Where?
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Do you have any employees?
I don't.
So you work for your father on commission and yourself.
Commission only as well
Commission
in the
only.
real estate market.
Okay. Did you file tax returns last year?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason for that?
Just late. Just over.
You're late. You're a year late.
Yeah.
What about the year before? Did you file tax returns?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And how much did you declare as income the year before last?
It's like 55, I think. 55,000, yep.
Okay, so phone bill, I've taken care of the phone bill. You paid it for her, fine. And if you don't want to pay it anymore, let her get an after-school job and pay for her own phone. Now, the next thing that you're suing for is, according to your complaint, you had a car that you weren't using. Mr. Vasquez has a father who wanted a car. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez, without your permission, sold the car, your car, to his father for $700, and you didn't get any of that money.
Correct.
Mr. Vasquez says his father was going to buy the car. He drove it. He didn't want to buy it because it had issues, and it's sitting in his father's driveway waiting for you to come and get it, and that he never got $700 from his father for the car. That's his position, correct?
No, there's a correction. I did get 700 and paid him back the next day because the car broke down within a day.
Because what?
It broke down within a day.
Okay, so you did sell it to him.
Yes, yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Caption, coming up.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Desiree and Curtis.
Desiree Surratt has accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, of selling her car without her permission. Curtis claims he refunded the money, and she can take the car back.
Okay, so you did sell it to him.
Yes, yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Is the car still titled in your name?
Yes.
So go get it.
I don't want the car, no.
Well, it's your car. It's titled in your name.
Yes, but apparently I have text messages showing he sold the car without my permission.
Whether he did or
also-
not, well, he can't sell the car because title never transferred.
Right.
And he's saying you can go and get the car. It's sitting in the driveway. His father doesn't want it. Title didn't transfer. He didn't get money for the car and keep it. It was a sort of silly transaction because what you are suggesting is he should have said to his father, that's it, it's sold as is. You can't have your $700 back.
Right, and my understanding is that his dad, through a conversation that I had with his dad did not
No, you
get
can't
the money back.
You can't tell me about the conversation. If you have text messages
I do.
between them, I would like to see them.
I do, yes.
Desiree hands documents to Kevin.
So there's those text messages. And I also have several text messages where Curtis agrees to pay me the money and also telling me the
This
car
is
ran
Desiree. Curtis
phenomenal.
said you would take possession of the Kia, but I asked about the title. Big Curtis, is that your father?
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money.
That's correct.
And that it certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, sorry, not good at checking my text. If we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. That's 2 weeks later. Your father didn't say to her, he gave me the money back. He said, I want the title. That's 2 weeks later. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Well, Your Honor, there's just one thing that we need to clear up right away, is that it was never sold without her knowledge.
Just a second. Now what I'm asking you, sir, I'm saying that your original story to me was that I sold my father the car with her agreement. That's what you say
That's
here,
right.
for $700. He gave me the $700, but am I correct, Whitney, that the car broke down the next day?
He said the car broke down within a day.
Within a day, and so you gave him his money back. Well, that's not what your father says here, sir. That's not what your father says here.
I went back and forth with him for days, but I gave him his money back.
No, what you told me was a lie. You told me it broke down the day you gave him his money back. The initial conversation she had was May 9th. And then May 16th, she's having a conversation with Big Curtis. That's your father. Mm-hmm. Sorry for not checking my texts. Can you get me the title? Which means 2 weeks later, he wanted the title. And then your father says about you, Curtis owes me big time money, and I can't get money from him either. That's your father.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
correct, Your Honor.
Big Curtis says to her, can you tell me what problem does Curtis have that caused him to spend massive amounts of money in such a short period of time? She answers, drugs, alcohol, gambling, he's a functional addict. He even got around $40,000 and he blew every penny. So the $700 you gave him for the car, I'm just going to file a small claims. For whatever reason, he's refusing to give it to me. It's not your fault that he stole the money from me. Just FYI, I have no issue giving you the title. Okay. So far, he owes you $700 for the car. And then we're finished. Get Big Curtis the title. Mail it to him. He sends you his address.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, Your Honor. I have some evidence I'd like to present.
Don't give me all that nonsense. You say that the plaintiff canceled a vacation trip. You made plane arrangements to take your children somewhere, and she took the children out of state. And car repairs that you gave her money for, car repairs, $250. I helped her repair her car and spent $250 on parts. When was that?
That was the car in question that we were just talking about.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
My parents helped me with the purchase of the kids' tickets
Why?
because I couldn't afford all of them.
Who was going on the trip?
It was going to be my wife, myself, and 2 kids.
Did you go on the vacation to Portugal with your wife?
No, we did not make it.
You did not make it.
Correct.
Why?
Because she is responsible of...
No, not her. Not with your 2 kids. Did you go with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't want to go without the kids. It was the whole purpose was to bring the kids to see the grandparents.
Does your wife work?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She's a bartender.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Don't make any more private agreements with him, madam. I think it's a big mistake.
I
We're
agree.
done. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're
Your Honor.
finished.
Thank you.
We're
I
finished.
had one more.
I just ruled that your counterclaim is dismissed.
Okay, Your Honor.
You're finished.
I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get everything that I felt that I was owed.
Well, a bit disappointed. I felt like I had a lot more coming my way.
Number one, I will not do him any favors.
I've taken care of my kids financially for the last 7 years.
Especially of monetary value.
She feels entitled to 6 months, so be it, but I didn't agree to it.
I hope that this is kind of a wake-up call to him
It's completely ridiculous. I'm just tired of having my name dragged through the mud.
to do honest business, whether it's in personal relationship or business.
I take care of my kids.
He's got a long history of owing money, not paying it back.
Always have, and always will, regardless.
He runs through family and friends and dry your pocketbooks and laugh out the door. He doesn't care.
claim money for a cell phone that, I bought. And, I think this is all to do with spite.
Just my kids. At the end of the day, whatever's best for them.
I just want to be there for the kids, and I just want to be done with the drama.
Judy and Sarah.
I have very little to say about that case, very little thoughts, except that Big Curtis, the defendant's father, doesn't like him.
I didn't get to read the messages, but
Clearly.
I'll
He
take
said,
your
what
word
is he
for it."
doing with all the money? My initial reading of that
Yeah.
case was, maybe she's being unreasonable. She's really not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's not a lot more to little Curtis than we were able to see
Yes,
today.
I agree.
That his father, Big Curtis,
Has seen,
understands.
yeah.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Logan Moore is suing his family friend, Brandon Farman, for the cost of 4 pigs, a hog waterer, and lost wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2181, Moore versus Foreman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moore, you're suing the defendant because it is your claim that you sold him, I believe, 4 piglets, and he never paid you for them.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the case is about. Now, tell me where you live.
I live in Pinehurst, but outside of Pinehurst, south, in a valley,
Pinehurst is where?
in Idaho.
So you live in Idaho. Is
Yes.
that a farming community?
Yes, small.
Who do you live there with?
Me, my mom, and my sister.
You have a farm?
Yes.
How many acres?
Right now, 5. Yes, we're working on buying land next to us.
But right now you have 5 acres. Tell me
Yes.
what you raise.
Right now, we raise cows, pigs, and goats.
You own that property?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you owned that property and raised those farm animals?
Lived on the property my whole life, raised farm animals since I was about 16.
And you sell them for what?
I mainly do meat animals, so when it comes to beef, cattle, pigs, meat, goats.
But you sell them on their own hoofs.
Yes, yep, on the hoof, not by meat.
And what do you do, Mr. Farman?
An underground shift supervisor,
What is that?
underground miner.
Do you live close by to Mr. Moore?
Live a couple miles above him,
How long have you lived there?
going on 5 years.
Tell me what interest you have in pigs.
Me and my buddy, we have a hobby, so to speak. He has cattle at his place, and I have raised pigs at mine.
How many acres is your house?
Just over 5.
All you raise are pigs.
Correct.
And I assume you sell the pigs for meat.
Correct.
When was the first time, Mr. Farman, you purchased pigs from Mr. Moore?
Probably 2 years ago now.
Okay, how many did you purchase?
The first time,
First time.
I think there was 3.
How much did you pay for them?
I don't recall.
Well, how much would 3 piglets be?
I want to say it was 400 and some change.
For 3.
Correct.
Okay, that was a couple of years ago.
Correct.
Did you sell those pigs?
Correct.
They're not part of your current lifestyle.
No, nope.
And you keep them for how long before you sell them?
Until they make a certain weight, about 250, 280 pounds.
Now, when you buy them from the plaintiff or from anybody, how big are they?
The ones that I purchased from Logan were small, probably 30, 40 pounds maybe.
So they must eat a lot for them to get to 250.
A lot.
And give me some idea, because I really don't know the answer to this question. How much would you sell a 250-pound pig for?
If they're totally butchered, cut, and wrapped, it's about $800 to $900. If I'm doing the cutting and wrapping,
And if you're not?
then I sell it for hanging weight. So whatever the animal weighs after it's butchered out, then we set a price for that. Usually $3.50 to $4 a pound.
You pay about $125 for them. You feed them for a year,
Not quite a year, but close.
okay? Well, not quite a year. And then you sell them for 6 or 7 times what you paid for them, minus the feed, whatever that is, minus what it is to feed.
Except for there's more than just the feed. There's all the time and labor it goes into cutting
Oh,
and wrapping.
absolutely.
And
But you make a profit.
make a profit, yes.
And you don't go that route. You sell them when they're young.
Correct.
That's your business, to
That
sell
is.
them when they're young.
Yes.
Okay. So the first time Mr. Farman bought from you, evidently things went well. Tell me about this most recent sale where there is an issue.
Yes, so Brandon contacted me that I had 4 pigs available.
Did you advertise that you had them available?
I did not. I have a family member that works at a gas station that he goes to. She mentioned to him that I have pigs for
Is
sale.
that how you found out?
That is correct.
Okay, go.
That I had pigs for sale. And then he got my number from her. He contacted me, said that he is interested in my pigs. We set up a time for him to come meet and look at the pigs.
What date?
It was July 28th, 2022.
Okay.
And then he came and looked at the pigs then, and he liked them.
How old were they?
They were 2.5 months, which would be right around 40 to 45 pounds.
And you had 4 of them.
4, correct.
Is that how many there were in the litter or however?
No, those were just the ones I had left. There were 9 in that litter.
So you had already sold 5?
Yes.
And 4 left?
Yes.
Is that the time you usually buy them, Mr. Farman, when they're 2.5 months old?
No,
How old are they when you usually buy them?
it depends.
Depends on what?
Price, money,
Okay.
where they're at.
Well, so give me a range. What?
So these ones were relatively close. I didn't have to travel far. At the time, they seemed like a pretty decent price deal.
And what did he sell them to you for?
Caption coming up.
You want to take the pigs, you didn't have any money at the moment, and what was the deal that you came up with?
That I would pay him for them when I was able to.
Nah, that I don't believe.
That
I don't believe.
is the truth.
Then he's foolish because when are you able to?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Logan and Brandon.
Logan Moore claims his family friend, Brandon Farman, owes for the cost of 4 pigs. Brandon says Logan sold him pigs that were sick.
Okay, what did he sell them to you for?
I believe for the 4 pigs and water, it was $7.20.
25, 4 pigs, and there was a water little machine that you also...
No, it was just a plastic tote with nipples on it for the pigs to drink water out of.
Okay.
There was no machine, no nothing to it.
So for $725, you got the 4 pigs and this machine.
It's
whatever.
not a barrel.
Whatever, a waterer, a hog waterer.
Correct.
Right. Anybody have a picture of that to show me?
I do not know.
I'll have to use my
Judge,
imagination based upon Mr. Farman's... Oh, you have a picture of
I
it, sir?
Your Honor.
What?
It was $740, $160 each for the pigs and then $100 for the water.
Judge, I do not. I do not have a picture of the water.
Okay.
The water was like a 275-gallon tank with 4 nipples on the outside of it at the bottom that you can fill with water. Pigs drink out of the nipples easier than they do like a dish.
Whatever. I get the picture. Okay. Now, let's say I take your number, Mr. Farman, $725. You purchased the pigs on July 28th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you pay him for them?
At the time that I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front and plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now, right off the bat. I don't have the money. But I was under the understanding from his relative that works at the gas station that he doesn't have the time.
No. You can't tell me what the relative at the gas station told you. You went to see the pigs.
I went to see the pigs.
You went to see the pigs, Mr. Farman, and you told me a moment ago, I said, how much were the pigs? And she's going to read back exactly what you said.
You asked him, did you pay for them? And he said, at the time I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front, plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now.
Before that, there was something about $725.
Okay.
How much were they? And he said the whole thing. The 4 pigs and a watering was $725.
$720 for the pigs and the water machine.
$720.
$720.
Oh, that's what you said. You said they were $720. That was the discussion when you went and looked at
Correct.
the pigs. Okay, and you said, I don't have money right now.
Correct.
And?
So then we came up with a deal that,
Look at me, don't look down. So you came up with a deal. You wanted to take the pigs and the watering thing. You wanted to take the pigs. You didn't have any money at the moment. And what was the deal that you came up with?
that I would pay him for him when I was able to.
Nah. That I don't believe.
That
I don't believe.
is the truth.
Yeah. Then he's foolish because when are you able to?
When I was able to.
What does that mean? That means you determine whether or not when and if you're going to pay for these things that you took?
It depended on when I was able to have the money available.
That was in July.
Correct.
You work in a mine.
Correct.
You work for a company?
Correct.
How long do you work for them?
3 years
You get paid annually or by the hour?
annually.
And what's your pay annually?
90,000, give or take.
Give or take a what?
I get bonuses.
Okay. You're going to get the month of January at $10.99. How much did you earn last year with bonuses?
I don't know. I haven't received my bonus yet.
Oh, you haven't received it yet? Okay, so it's $90,000 base pay. Who else do you support?
My wife and 5 children.
What does your wife do?
Stay-at-home mom.
When was the last time you sold any pigs?
It's been a while.
How long? Month and year?
It's been probably 6 months, 6, 7 months.
Okay. How many did you sell?
At the time, the last
6 or 7 in the last 6 months. How many did you sell?
1 or 2.
Well, I want you to think carefully. If you're on a salary and you have a wife and 5 children, that it's important if you make between $800 and $900 for each pig that you have. I want to know if it's 1 or 2.
It was 2.
And let's say I'm not going to take the higher figure, I'll take the lower figure. That's $1,600. You said between $800 and $900 each. That's $1,600 plus your income from your job.
Unfortunately, that $800 to $900 that I get for a pig, that doesn't all go to me. I split that equally with the person that I cut with, the one that raises the cattle that I spoke about.
I don't understand, sir.
I have
I
the
thought
shop. I have the space, the shop, the meat cooler, the room at my house to hang and cut animals. He comes up and he helps. We split it equally, right down the middle. So the
that
$800
you
or
split,
$900, I don't get that.
Just a second. He raises cattle,
Correct.
and you split his cattle with him, and you have pigs, and he splits the pigs with you.
No. I let him use the shop and my meat cooler. The cattle's his deal, but he comes up and helps me cut and wrap the pigs.
Oh, then he doesn't get half. That's baloney. That's baloney. If you raise them, you feed them, you paid for them. If he wraps them, you're not giving him half. In any event,
it's not.
In any event, you have a job. You have a $90,000 plus job. You made a commitment of $720 to the plaintiff to pay for his pigs, and you paid nothing.
The pigs died.
Just a second. I read that here. Tell me when the pigs died. Tell me the month and day the pigs died, that you communicated with him. This pig died, that pig died, this pig died.
I didn't communicate with him about when the pig died or when
Did you communicate with him at all? I'm sorry, when he asked you for the money.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I was.
Okay, when he said, where's my money? That was in what month? I know when, July 28th is when you picked them up. In what month did he communicate and say to you, I want my pigs, or I want the money? Tell me.
August.
August what?
One was August 16th, one was August 17th.
Okay, so he communicated with you the 16th and the 17th of August. So by this time, you've had the pigs at your place for about 2.5 weeks, from the 28th to the 16th or the 17th of July.
And the first one had already died in that.
Just a second. During that time, now, when did the first pig die?
A week and 3 days after I got it home.
Did you tell him?
No.
Oh, then you're going to pay for all of them, sir.
What?
You're going to pay for all of them.
That's no.
Oh, yes.
Caption coming up.
Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me.
I offered multiple times to take the pigs back to him and the water.
Just show me.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Logan and Brandon.
Logan Moore has accused his family friend, Brandon Foreman, of refusing to pay for the pigs he purchased. Brandon claims Logan sold him sick pigs and only one survived.
Go ahead.
So if you went to the grocery store and you bought a bag of apples and the apples were rotten in the middle, but the outside looked fine, you would still pay for those and just be content with them?
I'm going to give you the different example, sir, not apples. I'm going to give you an example with puppies, which I have here all the time. Your pigs were not sold to you with any health guarantee. Let's start there. Dogs, cats, animals, pet animals are usually sold through a breeder or somebody that you buy from. You have a contract that says, take the dog or the cat to the vet within the next 3 days or the next 24 hours or 48 hours. Any health deficiency in the cat or dog, we will either refund your money or give you a new cat or a new dog at the discretion of either the buyer or the seller. That's what happens. Now, you had the animals at your place for 2 weeks, and I assume you have other animals. just assume you have other animals.
I had other pigs at the time.
Just assume you have other animals. And I also assume that you have no vet report.
I do.
I'd like to see it.
Brandon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This isn't a vet report.
It's the bill.
I don't care about a bill. I want a report.
I don't have a report. I have a bill.
Then, sir, you're going to pay him his $720. You're going to pay him his $720. I don't care what the bill was. How does he know? How do I know what the pig picked up, the one that died, at your place over the course of a week and a half? What you said to me was you took the pigs and said, I'll pay him when I can. Now they're yours.
So I had other pigs at the time, full-grown pigs, that were ready to go. So then I brought these other piglets home, and then the one started getting sick, so then I had to separate the pigs. So then I had to spend all this time and money giving them shots, trying to keep them healthy, and then I had to build a whole separate pen to contain them because I don't want to get the full-grown pigs getting whatever disease or whatever they had.
Did you ever call the plaintiff when the first pig got sick and said, listen, this pig is sick, and I'm not sure about the other piglets that are here, and that's in the first 2 weeks. I'd like to return them to you. He didn't have any babies at the time because he had sold 5. He had 9 in the whole litter or whatever they call it. Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me where you did that the first 2 weeks in August.
When I first picked up those pigs,
just show me.
I don't have that.
Sir,
Because
then what
I
you're
didn't.
saying is unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable. Why do I need to burden him with these sick pigs? But I'm not going to pay for a product that I don't get anything out of.
Then you've become the lawyer for the plaintiff, the lawyer for the defendant, and the judge. You said, I bought them. I didn't pay for them. But I shouldn't have to pay for them because now I had to build a whole separate pen. I had to separate them. And this is all without advising him. All without advising him and saying to him, listen, I didn't want to buy sick pigs. It looks as if these are sick pigs. I don't want the extra responsibility. I don't have the money right now. Take them back. Show me. Show me.
I offered multiple times to take the pigs back to him and the water.
Show me. Show me within the first couple of weeks when one died, so you had to separate all of them. That's the first 2 weeks in August. That's all I want to see.
Right here.
I'd like to see it,
August
please.
17th.
Okay, great.
We won the blue.
Shh, I'm reading.
Brandon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This doesn't say anything about sick pigs, sir. August 16th, 17th were the 2 dates you gave me. This was on August 17th. He says, do you have the money to me tomorrow, or I'm getting law enforcement involved? You don't say one of the pigs is sick, one of the pigs died, I'll bring them all back. You say, I'm working on getting you the money. But if this is how it is, then I will bring you back the pigs and all tonight. I have some blank coming up that has taken precedence in my finances. I'm sorry that this has been less than ideal, but this is where I am now. That doesn't say anything about pigs being sick, dying. It says, I have other things to do with my money now. That's what it says, right?
But I clearly offered to bring the pigs back.
Just a second. That's what it says. He didn't have a buyback agreement from you. Now you have the pigs. Whether they died or whether they didn't die or whether they got sick, you've had them. Now we're in January, August, September, October, November, December. We're in January. We're 6 months later. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $720. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Logan, then Brandon.
Did not expect Brandon to mention sick pigs.
They just wouldn't put on weight. They started not wanting to eat or drink anymore. Then they just got real skinny, no matter what I did or the vets did.
He never told me.
They just ended up passing away.
If it was sick, I would put them in a treated pen that I have that's actually on concrete where they cannot pick up any other diseases from the ground.
Some kind of infection.
And I make sure the animal is even safe for transport.
I wasn't going to do the blood test on them to try to figure out.
I honestly have done multiple payment plans with multiple farmers.
I shouldn't have to pay.
And I will do it in the future too.
Got frustrated.
I'm glad it's over. I don't have to chase my money anymore.
Sarah and Judy.
So I don't know a lot about pigs or farming or,
No.
or housing pigs, but I was really surprised at the profit margin that the defendant was explaining. If you buy the pigs at 40 pounds, not also great at math or word problem math questions, but if you buy a pig at 40 pounds for $160, you have to feed it all the way up to 280 pounds in order to sell it to anyone. You have to, I don't even want to think about how much food that requires to feed the pigs. But then your profit, even if he wasn't splitting it with whoever helps him cut and butcher the meat, is only $800 as a high figure. That seems like a very low profit margin to have pigs in your house and to have them in your backyard and build a pen with 5 kids. That just seems like a lot for a profit margin that I expected to be much higher. That's really labor-intensive work. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, different part of the world.
Different part of the world.
So if you don't like that part of the world, then you go to law school.
I guess.
Or you become a podiatrist.
Or you visit.
Or you
visit
visit.
a farm.
You visit a farm.
Title: Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv. Offer: a suing fellow motorist, Robin Major, for scooter damages after Robin hit Matthew's scooter.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy.
Hello, Judge. Case 2197, Klinghoffer versus Major.
Thank you.
Judy turns to Matthew.
You were riding a motor scooter.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe it for me, please?
It is a 2018 Yamaha Zuma.
Is that a small?
No, I got a picture of it here.
Can I see that, please?
Matthew hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews an image of a scooter.
Yeah, well, it's small.
Yeah, it's a
And
small vehicle.
you were on this vehicle with a child.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your son, who's how old?
12.
What's his name?
Justin Barr.
He's not here today.
No,
Why not?
he has autism.
And you were riding with him going where on October 20th of last year?
I just picked him up from school and I was on my way home.
How far is it?
The school is less than a half a mile from my home.
Do you pick him up every day?
Most of the time, yeah, but since this accident, I have not picked him up since. Mom does.
So there's a car available to
Yes.
pick him up. It's your claim that the defendant, while acting negligently, hit your scooter and damaged it.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
want him to be responsible. That happened on the 22nd of October. I assume sometime after 3 o'clock?
Yes, it was at 3:18.
In what state do you live?
Evansville, Indiana.
Is there any sort of helmet rule in Indiana?
No, ma'am.
Yes, there is.
My son, for a child, yes.
Just a second. So the answer is either yes or no. You
Yes,
said
ma'am.
no. So
For
there
me, no. For my son, yes.
was your son wearing a helmet?
Yes, ma'am.
No, he was
Shh,
not.
shh. No, listen to me. Shh. Don't speak.
He had a small purple bicycle helmet on
Now, you wear a helmet because
to keep him from getting his head hurt.
hurt.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Which
just for my own interest, why wouldn't you wear a helmet to prevent you from getting hurt?
Dumb is what dumb does.
Well, that would be an answer, because that sounds sort of reckless to me.
Yes, ma'am. I wear a helmet now.
And I'm not so sure your son was wearing a helmet on the 22nd of October either, sir. So I want you to be very, very careful when I ask you this question again. Are you positive that your son was wearing a helmet on the 22nd of October?
No, ma'am. I wasn't 100% positive, but he normally
Just a sec.
always is wearing a helmet.
Okay. On your way home, I understand you have some sort of a chart to try to explain to me what the accident was. This is your version of the accident. So you want to step over there, Mr. Klinghoffer?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be you and your son riding, both of you, probably without helmets. And it looks, that's your version, and it looks as if...
sitting in traffic.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And it looks as if there's a lot of traffic.
Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of traffic, no helmets, you're on your way home, and go ahead.
I was just sitting in traffic here, waiting for the train to clear, and he comes out of his driveway and backs right into me.
Okay.
No horn, no regard of me being
wait,
there.
Wait, 1 second. On the other side, this is your chart.
Yes, ma'am.
On the other side of where the defendant's driveway is, which I assume is the blue car, that's his driveway, is that a street?
Yes, ma'am.
You know where I'm talking about?
Yes,
Point to where I'm talking about.
This is a street
Yes,
called...
that's a street.
Yes.
And that's a street that has cars.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So one would say you should not be in that intersection.
Well, I
Just a
didn't,
second. Just a second. One would say, even in your chart, you should not be in that intersection. You should be either have enough room in front or wait until the traffic moves because you're stuck in the middle. So a car can't move out of.
I was actually sitting about right here.
Well, this is your chart.
Yes, ma'am.
So you indicate that that chart is not absolutely correct.
No, it's
and
not.
that your scooter was right behind the three cars.
Behind these 3 cars here.
But still in the intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second.
We was coming to a rolling stop as the arms were coming down, so I didn't know where I was going to stop at, so I was rolling with traffic. And the vehicle that was in front of me was also pulling a trailer, and I couldn't see around it. It was a big box trailer.
So you couldn't see what was in front of you?
No, I could not. And I got as far away from his driveway as I possibly could.
No, you weren't even thinking about his driveway, sir. Let's be square. You know, it's not a good idea to make things up as you go.
No.
You didn't even know that his driveway was there.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I knew it was there, but I was trying to get it far enough out of the way of the intersection. I didn't think he was going to come out of his driveway and back into me, ma'am.
Well, so you were watching the other side, not the driveway?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
The intersection.
Yeah.
Just making sure I got out of the intersection, got past the yellow line.
Okay. So he clipped the...
Rear, right by my taillight.
Yeah, back here.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened? You can go back now.
And it literally just shoved me over.
Okay, go back. So it shoved you over. Now, when it shoved you over, did you land on one foot or did you land on the pavement?
Oh, we landed on the pavement. I tossed my son up because he was sitting in front of me. Up onto his feet.
Oh, hold on. Hold the phone.
Mode.
Hold the phone. Your son was sitting in front of you.
Yes.
Is that what he said?
He was sitting in front of me.
So your son was driving.
No, he was not driving. I was driving.
I'm trying to get this picture in my head.
I'm being a
with this little,
parent.
just a second, with this little scooter. Your son was in front of you. This is one seat. So he was sitting in front of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your 12-year-old.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And how tall is your 12-year-old?
Probably about 5 foot, if that.
My size.
Yes.
So, like a fully grown adult. He may be not yet fully grown for a kid, but I'm a fully grown adult, and I'm 5 feet tall, and I've been that my whole life. So I'm an adult.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So your adult child is sitting in front of you. You're sitting behind him.
Yes.
Now, I want you to explain to me, hold out your arms. I want you to explain to me how your son is in front of you, you're behind him in the back part of this seat, and you're driving. I want you to explain that to me.
Caption coming up.
The 12-year-old driving the motor scooter.
He was not driving.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
I don't care whether you believe me. You're not judging me. I'm judging you. So that means that if I don't believe you, that's important. If you don't believe me, that is irrelevant.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Matthew and Robin.
Matthew Klinghoffer claims fellow motorist Robin Major hit Matthew's scooter while Robin was pulling out of his driveway.
Go ahead.
I'm reaching around my son and driving. I've been doing it since I was 16. I've been driving scooters since I was 16.
Hey, you may have been driving scooters when you're 16, but I've been using my common sense for 80 years. And I don't see why your son wasn't sitting behind you so you didn't have to lean over on that big, long seat in order to be maneuvering this scooter. I'm not visualizing that, Mr. Klinghoffer, so I want you to take a deep breath. Kevin, let me see Mr. Major's diagram.
Robin hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a photo of a scooter.
So I want you, your son is sitting in front on the seat. You're sitting in the raised portion behind him. I want you to put that down there.
Kevin brings the photo to Matthew.
Which sitting back there in the raised portion makes me sit up much higher than him.
Matthew makes a mark on the photo.
Sarah, does your research indicate how long this thing is? Does it give any dimensions?
I'm sure I could find it.
Okay, so he clipped the back and you fell off?
We fell over. I stood my son back up. I got up.
So you fell over and son got up?
I got my son up. I got up. He was still pushing my vehicle. I got up to smack on the back of his window. And then he gets out and aggressively screaming at me, "Why are you smacking on my window? Why are you trying to break my window?"
Okay.
I asked him, "Why are you still proceeding to try to run over my vehicle?"
But he's not trying to run over your vehicle, sir. What kind of car did he have? He had a truck.
Chevy Blazer, 2003.
Big one. He's in a very high SUV, right? And you're in a very low scooter. Mm-hmm. Now, neither you or your son went to the hospital, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Neither you or your son had medical treatment at the scene.
My son was looked over, but that was
Just a second. Neither you had medical treatment at the scene.
No.
Neither you or your son went to a doctor.
No.
Now, do you have a photograph of what your scooter looked like after this accident? Because this is his photograph.
That's after the accident. There's another one.
Okay, I'd like to see what your photograph looks like.
There's all of them.
Mr. Klinghoffer of the motorcycle, because Mr. Major is handing me up his photographs of what this looks like.
Matthew produces photos.
Here's the whole stack.
Okay, so what we're talking about is this piece right here.
That's my exhaust. And
Just a second, that's what's damaged. This
and
piece,
the upper panel there.
I don't see anything damaged in the upper
On my
panel.
picture, it shows it.
I'd like to see
I bet
it.
it does. Now, on that muffler, that's rust.
That's not rust.
I might not know nothing about scooters, but I know what rust looks like.
Mr. Major.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what's wrong with you. I made myself clear pleasantly to you, respectfully to you, but you certainly understood that here we don't talk to each other.
Yes, ma'am.
That you will have a turn right now. It's his turn.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that wheelbase is 50 inches, so about 4 feet wheel to wheel.
Okay, so let me see. So from here to here, wheel to wheel is 4 feet. So sitting on the back here, in order to get to the handlebars.
Maybe like 3 feet.
3 feet. Hold out your arms. Nah. Okay. Now, just to complete your story, sir, Mr. Klinghoffer, this happened in October, and you said you wear a motorcycle helmet now, or a helmet now, since the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Since this accident.
It scared me straight.
And did you or did you not have the scooter repaired?
No, I have not had it repaired.
Just a second. So the answer is no. Pay attention, Mr. Klinghoffer, from which I deduce, you're looking at your papers, from which I deduce that the motor scooter is operable. You've been using it since October, despite the, oh yes, that's what you just said.
I haven't been using it.
Who's been using it?
I got 3 others.
No.
I got 3 other scooters that I've been driving.
I don't
have
believe,
not been driving
just
that
a
one.
second, I don't believe you, sir.
Okay.
I want you to be really careful about what you say to me. You do wear a helmet now. Now you know where I'm going, Mr. Klinghoffer. Since the accident, so does your son. There is nothing that appears to be mechanically wrong with this motor scooter in either your photographs or his. Nothing mechanical.
Estimate.
I don't care what your estimate says, sir. My naked eye. First of all, you understand that I'm doubting.
I understand,
I'm doubting big parts of your story, Mr. Klinghoffer.
I understand, ma'am.
I doubt big parts of your story about whether or not you were wearing a helmet. I don't think your son was wearing a helmet. I think that this diagram indicates to me that you were in a place where you shouldn't have been. That's your diagram. He has his own diagram that'd probably be very different. So I am going to assume, because that's my common sense, that you and or your son have been riding this motor scooter since October and that it hasn't sat idly. I don't care what you got, because the pictures belie the fact that this motor scooter was damaged beyond being rideable. And that's if it was his fault. Okay, now we've got his picture, now we're coming to you. Is that a fair and accurate representation
Yes.
of the accident site?
No, it's not.
Yes.
Now,
How would you know? You wasn't even there. You didn't show up 20 minutes after the fact.
Excuse me.
You did not show up. She wasn't even there.
I'm gonna throw you out, and you're gonna lose this. I'm gonna throw you out, and you're
When
gonna
you
lose.
called him an idiot in front of my son.
Okay, she's gone. Gone.
A woman leaves.
Yeah. I know why you can't afford insurance.
Gone.
We wouldn't be here today if he had insurance.
Did you understand why I threw your wife out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you people think this is all about. The fact that he had no is what you say to me, he had no insurance, which is why you're here?
Yeah, we wouldn't be here right now if he had insurance, and insurance would have took care of all
Yeah,
that.
well, it's possible, Mr. Klinghoffer, that you wouldn't be here right now, and I haven't made a decision yet if you weren't driving recklessly without helmets with your son, who, according to you, has issues, the 12-year-old driving the motor scooter.
He was not driving.
But I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
I don't care whether you believe me. You're not judging me, I'm judging you. So that means that if I don't believe you, that's important. If you don't believe me, that is irrelevant.
Caption coming up.
Were you driving your car uninsured?
I was moving my...
Oh, no. Be very careful what you say to me. You turned the ignition on, started to move. That's driving.
Whitney smirks. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Matthew and Robin.
Matthew Klinghoffer is accusing fellow motorist Robin Major of hitting him and his son while Robin backed out of his driveway.
Okay. Your statement, Mr. Major, based upon this diagram, is that the defendant pulled out and was to sort of beat the traffic and was driving not in a lane, which suggests to me, sir, that you saw him.
I didn't see him.
Well, how do you know that he pulled out?
When I was backing out, the car that's adjacent there waved me out.
You mean the car
behind?
Go over there. I know what you're talking about, just so that we're clear. The car behind said you...
This car, as I'm coming out my driveway, he's saying, he's waving me out.
He's waving you on to suggest that it's clear.
So I'm coming out, and I didn't see him, Your Honor.
You didn't see him?
No.
Okay. Now go back. Now, Mr. Major, we're going to get to insurance. Were you driving your car uninsured?
I wasn't. I was moving my...
Oh, no. Be very careful what you say to me. You put a key in the ignition. You turned the ignition on. You put the car in reverse.
Yes, ma'am.
Started to move. That's driving.
Yes, ma'am.
And driving far enough into the street so you weren't on your property.
No, my car was still in...
Oh, no, Mr. Major. Mr. Major, you said that that's a fair and accurate representation of the accident scene.
That's my driveway.
The back of your car is not in the driveway. The back of your car is in a public street. That's what you said.
I would know.
Yeah, he was... Listen to me, Mr. Major. I'm an equal opportunity abuser. You have to understand that. So please, I'm sort of ancient, but please don't treat me as if I'm stupid.
No,
people confuse age with stupidity.
No,
that would be a huge mistake on your part.
Yes.
Huge. Unless you're suggesting he came up on your driveway, which this doesn't suggest at all. You were in a public street without insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be an easy. Did the police respond to this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a police report?
There.
Yes,
May I have it, please?
They gave me.
Right here.
Okay.
Matthew hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Scuff and scratch marks were observed on the left side of vehicle 2. That's what the police officer observed. Now, what did you do after this accident, Mr. Klinghoffer?
I called the police.
Got the police. The police came, they took a report, they spoke to you. Now, you were picking your son up from school.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
I went home.
You went home with your son. Now, when you went home with your son, you were riding in front, is that correct?
We walked home. My vehicle was not rideable. My exhaust pipe was
Just a second. How did you get the motor scooter?
I pushed it.
Did you see him push the motor scooter?
I seen him push it down so far, and then he got on it.
Just a second. Would you bring in Mr. Klinghoffer's wife?
Kevin leaves the courtroom. He returns with Matthew's wife.
This way.
Step over next to your husband, please. Were you at home when your husband came home with your son after this accident?
He actually called me.
Just a second. I said, were you at home?
Yes, I was at home.
Who else was home with you?
My brother and my friend.
You say your husband called you and he told you about the accident?
Yes.
And what did you do?
Me and got in the car and we pulled up and I parked in the middle of the street.
Go over to that chart and show me where you pulled up.
Matthew's wife, Brittany, approaches the traffic diagram.
About right here.
Okay, so you pulled up right near where the accident was?
Yes.
And where was your husband?
He was right here with Justin.
Okay, go back.
She joins Matthew at the plaintiff's table.
And then what happened? Police come, police leave. I want you to tell me what happened next.
After the police and fire department and ambulance leave, me and Justin walked to where they told me to park my car. So me and Justin got in the car.
And your husband?
He was walking the scooter back to our house with.
And is that how he arrived at the house, walking with the motor scooter?
Yes.
Very good. Kevin, she can go out now.
This way, please.
Brittany leaves with Kevin.
Now, as soon as Kevin gets back, I'm going to take a look at your estimate.
Matthew hands a document to Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay, so protector muffler, reasonable. Front fender, unreasonable. Just a second. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Radiator cover, footrest boards. No. Rear reflector is reasonable. Exhaust pipe. Okay. Now, Mr. Major.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to tell you that ordinarily I would award him half the damage because I think that he was 50% responsible for this accident. I think he was driving negligently with his son. I think his son was actually, his 12-year-old son was driving the scooter. I think that that's what happened because his story about him sitting in the rear seat hunching over his son in a 4-foot wheelbase is not something that I can conjure. And if it was true, it was still reckless. So I would actually ascribe half of his damage to him. I'm not, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if there was a lot of traffic, you are at least partially responsible for not being more cautious. You're driving in a big car. There was somebody behind you because you did, in fact, hit them. And you have to be very cautious when you're driving a big car. The reason I'm ascribing all the damage to you, sir, is because you had no insurance. And nobody belongs on the road without insurance. And there has to be a penalty when you're driving without insurance, just like when you were driving without a license. Do you require a license? Just a second. Hey! Where you live, which Sarah can check, do you need a driver's license to ride a scooter on the street?
No, you need an endorsement for a Class B scooter.
A what?
An endorsement for a Class B scooter.
Okay. Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your son?
No.
Your son was driving. Your case is dismissed. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
My son was not driving.
Court is adjourned.
Robin.
I had insurance, but I had it on my other vehicle, not on my truck. I didn't feel nothing until he was pounding on the back of my window. I did not see the scooter until after the fact. Wear your helmet when you're on a scooter and have insurance when you're back on your driveway.
Judy and Sarah.
You know what was interesting about that, Sarah, to me? The one thing he said, which came out sort of by accident, was that his son was in front of him. And there's no question that...
I can imagine a world in which you're very uncomfortably trying to ride around your son, but he's not a 7 or 8-year-old. You know, he's a teenage boy who's 5 feet tall, and that would be like one of us sitting in front of him. So I agree that it doesn't make the most sense. I could fathom it. However, common sense kind of kills it.
Common sense kind of kills it, and so does, we were all wearing helmets.
Yeah.
And so does, I pick him up in the motor scooter, and this guy for sure lets his 12-year-old son drive it. And there's a lot of traffic based upon what both things, and the defendant had no insurance. They deserved each other.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Brenda Langley is suing business owner Amber Howard for damages and defamation to her pet daycare business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2173, Langley versus Howard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Langley, your complaint states that you live in a rural area, 13 acres. Your business is pet sitting.
Correct.
The property that you own does not have running water.
Correct.
So all the water for your property has to be trucked in.
Yes.
The defendant is the owner of? The
owner's wife.
The same thing. They own a water business where they deliver by truck massive amounts of water, and you had used them for a period of time. Prior to Labor Day of 2021, when this incident occurred, how long have you been using the defendants?
Probably about a year.
And how often do they deliver water to your property?
4 times a week. Usually 3 times for the pool and once for the house.
Okay. And each time they came, was that on a set time during the week?
We tried to get a set time, but it varied quite often.
Okay. Would they call before they came?
No.
For the year that you had them, when they came, did you pay them at the time that they came?
Yes, I did. Oftentimes we paid in advance. So we paid for the
you
entire
either paid
week.
in advance or you paid at the time of the delivery?
Yes.
Did you give them a check or cash?
Check.
Now let's get to Labor Day 2021. On what day were they supposed to come?
I believe it was the 4th of September. It was on a Friday.
And who was at home to accept the delivery?
We didn't know when they were coming, but I had taken my employee out to lunch, and I called my nephew, who was there holding down the fort, and told him if they deliver water, let them know I forgot the check, so they can either deliver or come back later.
Well, you live in a rural area. Coming back later is a big inconvenience because you forgot the check.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, it happened that it was a big inconvenience because you went out for lunch and you left a nephew. They came, the check wasn't there, and they left with the water. Now, what time did you come?
I wasn't the one who delivered the water. It was my husband, but I believe he had came.
No, he'll tell me.
Oh, okay.
So this was about a year and a half ago. I don't remember the exact time, but it was an AM delivery because we were going out of town Friday evening, going up north. So I was trying to get done with our route fairly early so that we could get out.
So the first time you came to the house was in the morning?
That's correct.
Not lunchtime?
No, it was probably somewhere around 10 a.m. if I was to guess.
Okay. And when you got there that one time, the nephew was there.
That's correct.
And tell me what happened.
Well, the nephew, for starters, is about 12 years old. And the reason why we don't necessarily have a time frame for businesses is because if it's between business hours, when we show up and if they need water, usually that shouldn't be an issue for the business.
Don't give me a whole story, sir. The nephew was 12 years old, okay, and he was left in charge of the pets.
That's correct.
Okay, so the nephew was left in charge of these animals, and when you came, there was no check. What happened?
It wasn't even about the money, the reason why I left. The reason why I showed up there is he was talking on the phone, and he said, we are not ready for water right now.
He was on his phone?
Yes.
Where did this conversation take place?
Near the pool, the dog pool. And we were actually taking 4,000 gallons. So I brought my big truck. I'd bring 2,000 for the doggy pool and then 2,000 for the house because it was a holiday weekend, so I had to make sure that we got him enough water to last through the holiday weekend.
Okay, and I assume that the plaintiff was satisfied with your service because she had continued with your service for over a year.
Yes, that's correct.
That's according to you. That's according to you. You had been satisfied with their service because if you weren't, you would have found somebody else. But you had been satisfied with their service. According to you, you paid them in advance or on the date of the delivery. On Labor Day, September 4th, you left your 12-year-old nephew there.
12, but...
Well, how old is he, 13?
He's 15.
So what? What's the difference?
Okay, I'm just
well, maybe he's 15 now. Maybe he wasn't in 2021. So the nephew said to you, we're not ready for water delivery now.
That's
Is that what you're saying? Now, your business have a phone?
Correct.
Did the plaintiff ever call you and say, I'm home now, I'm sorry, there was a mix-up?
No, so what happened, I showed up there, he wasn't ready for water. I told him, I go, that is...
What do you have to do to get ready for water?
For their purposes, I believe it was to try to use up as much as they can.
No, don't tell me what you believe. I want to know what you have to do to get ready for a water delivery. Do you have to open up a spigot? What do you have to do?
Okay, so basically they're holding tanks that are in basements or in the ground. So normally nobody even has to be there, 90% of our customers. This particular case, one of their tanks is in a basement which doesn't have an alarm. So in order to fill their tank up, somebody has to be down there with a radio to radio up to us to know when to shut the water off.
Okay, so that would have had to have been the nephew who was between the ages of 12 and 15, would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you came onto the property, he said, we're not ready for a water delivery.
That's correct.
And he would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
So you left.
Yes. Correct.
What happened next?
Your Honor, I told him that it's not that big of a deal. I got a few more stops. I'm going to go do those stops, and then I'll come back. And then hopefully you'll be ready, and your aunt would be ready for water at that time. So I went and did my 2 stops. So I used up another 4,000 gallons. I filled back up. Went back to their house. At this time, it was probably somewhere around 12. And again, he said, we're still not ready for water.
So you went back again at noon?
Between 12 and 1, I would say.
And the plaintiff wasn't home?
That's correct, again.
How many hours passed between the first delivery and the second?
It takes me about 45 minutes per stop, and I know I did about 2 stops, so about an hour and a half it took me before I was back there.
And for that hour and a half, she didn't come back. So she was either a very late breakfast or a very early lunch.
That's correct.
Okay, so now they go twice to deliver water to you, and you're not there, and neither is your check. So now you tell me what happened next.
Kyle called me. First, he doesn't have a phone, but we do have a business line. So he called me on the business line and told me that the driver just left. He goes, I don't know where he went. He said, I think
Who told?
Kyle.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, he's my nephew.
Your nephew called you. What time?
Well, our lunch is...
What? You went
can't tell
before lunch because he was there earlier in the morning.
We did not go before lunch. We went 12:30 to 2. The dogs always nap 12:30 to 2.
Okay.
We separated the dogs.
How many
we
times
went to
did
lunch
they?
And we were
how many
5 minutes.
How
away.
many times did they come to your house to deliver water?
According to what I was told, I wasn't there. 2.
Oh, that's what he says. He came
said 3.
twice. We haven't gotten to the third yet, but he came twice to your house and you weren't there.
Correct.
You're supposed to wait for a service. You're supposed to be there ready for the service. That would be on you. That's not on them, that's on you. They came when they were supposed to deliver water, and you weren't there, and you left somebody who was not equipped to deal with the situation in charge. And what happened was you didn't have water potentially over the holiday weekend because they were going away, so you had to scurry to find other water.
Correct.
That's what this case is about.
Caption coming up.
If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty.
Brenda smiles. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley claims business owner Amber Howard defamed her pet daycare business. Amber is countersuing for negative reviews Brenda made toward her business.
Okay, so according to you, a year later, you heard something about their business, so you wrote a negative something about their business on the internet. You'll tell me what that is in a moment. And in retaliation for that, they posted a negative comment about your business, alleging something that had to do with the animals. So that's what this case is about. Your use of the internet to make trouble. You, a year later, according to you, only posted 1 negative review, is that right?
Correct.
And that was a year later.
Yes. Do you want me to tell you why? Because they take the reviews down. You can't leave it.
All
I tried right away.
All I'm asking you is, I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, coulda. A year later, you posted a negative review about them. So I'd like to see the review and why you waited a year. You had had a full year of positive service from these people, and the day that you had a problem with them was your fault. I just determined that. It was your fault.
Okay.
So I want to see what you said about them.
Brenda produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Miss Langley, so I read this thing. It says, funny how this shows up as a recommendation. Apparently, they took the rating system off their page. They were always shorting us on water for the pool. Well, you used them satisfactorily for a year. So I think that that's baloney.
We had a couple run-ins over it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. What is that about? Once when you complained about what?
About the pool being short on water.
Just what did your nephew have to do with them? Your nephew was hardly a teenager. What did your nephew have to do with discussing
Nothing,
things
really.
with the bro?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He would help them sometimes bring the hose in and things like that, but he was just a helper every once in a while.
Well, what does that mean?
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. Video surveillance proved he was lying. No one ever approached him and no one spoke to him. I showed the owner the video and he didn't seem to care. The last straw was when the owner, that would be them, left for a holiday weekend and we had no water and low pool water. Well, that would be your fault. You don't say that here. It just makes it appear as if they left and left you high and dry, but they came at least twice, he's going to tell me a third time probably, to deliver water, and you weren't there. When my nephew asked if we could pay next week. He got in his truck and left. That's also your fault.
If he would have communicated, I could have brought the money. We were 5 minutes away.
Just a second. That puts the onus on them. Why weren't you there? This is all on you. This isn't on them. No conversation, no phone call, not even a curse word. I called his wife to find out what happened, and she said they were going out of town for the weekend. And you put in parentheses, too bad. Well, you're allowed to go out. You're allowed to go out for lunch when their delivery is coming without a check, but they're not allowed to go out for Labor Day for the weekend. I immediately called a competitor to bail us out. Thank God he took mercy on us and came out right away. We have had excellent service with the competitor ever since. It could have been catastrophic to try not just to live, but run a business with no water over the holiday weekend. You should have been home to get your delivery. And so,
can I say something?
Sure.
I always paid. They knew I was good for the money, and nobody has to be there when they deliver water. We don't watch them deliver water, except for maybe in the house, and Kyle was there to receive it.
Just a second. He just told me that one of the water tanks is in the basement. Somebody has to be there in the basement in your house. If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty. And for no reason. I don't hear a reason why this a year later. You want to tell me?
I had heard about some bad business practices, so it got me upset again. So I decided to look and find a way to put a review on. They had taken their reviews off the page. So immediately I wanted to put a review on there, but they have it down as a recommendation.
Who cares?
So that's when I left.
I just still don't understand why a year later you stir this up. So for a year, you were getting water from a competitor. You cut off their system. They seem to be still surviving. You're still in business?
Yes. Yeah.
They're in business without you. You're in business without them.
Right.
Okay. So this is nasty. Okay. Now, as a result of being nasty, they wrote a review about you, which is why you're here.
Yes.
About your business.
Yes.
May I see that review?
About her statement saying that she only gave us one bad review. We have proof that we have multiple bad reviews, not just the one, over that course of a year and a half.
May I see, and I'd like to see them. Did you write more than one negative review? Okay, I'm going to take a look at them.
That's what I posted.
Amber produces a document.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I posted right here. I gave you the wrong copy.
She hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy for review.
Oh, well, this is a different one where you say last water hauler suggested we had to kiss whatever or they would not show. They rarely answered a call or a text in a timely manner. I was even late to a party posted at my home. I had zero water and couldn't shower, couldn't get in touch with anybody. The last straw was Friday. They dropped us on a holiday weekend and said that they would see us on Tuesday.
I don't think that was a review, Your Honor.
Was this not a review?
I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't a review. It was a comment.
Yep.
It was a comment. It was still out there, alive, out there.
Caption, coming up.
So it was really a tit for tat. You got tired?
He wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
Brenda and Amber grin. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley has accused business owner Amber Howard of defaming her pet daycare business. Amber claims Brenda created negative reviews a year after their dispute ended.
I'm looking to see what you posted about her.
He's good.
You go, Judge.
Kevin hands a document to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay. So you posted this on October the 30th, and this is on a Facebook?
Yes.
We used to supply water for the puppy pool here 3 times a week, and our drivers witnessed on multiple occasions the staff mistreating dogs in their care. They would see on multiple occasions dog feces in the pool before they would fill it up. We were going to send our dog there before we knew all this, but I told our dog was too small and they could not accommodate him. Now that I know the kind of business they run, I'm thankful I kept my pet out of their care. I would think twice before sending your beloved pet there. And then Lucky Puppy, that would be you, funny, I just gave you a poor review on your page. The difference is our review is true. Your review is defamation of character. You can remove your untrue statements, or you can be sued. Your choice. So now I'm going to ask you sort of the same question. The incident happened on Labor Day of 2021. October 30th, and that would be of 2022?
Correct.
So between the time that they ceased to be customers of yours and a year later, what happened that caused you to write this negative review?
So as you can see in the evidence I gave you, she all the time was just saying negative things about our business. We never had said anything about her business.
Just a second. So the answer was it was tit for tat.
Correct.
It was tit for tat. She was writing negative reviews about your business. So you wrote, which I just determined were untrue. So you wrote a negative review about her business.
Correct.
A year later. I mean, if you were really concerned about the pets, you would have written it immediately. So it was really a tit for tat. You
Correct.
got tired.
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
May I say something, please?
Sure.
So what she accused us of is illegal.
Just a second.
We have to keep sanitary conditions, and we have to.
Just a second. How do I know that one of their drivers didn't report seeing feces in the pool? How do I know that?
I've been there before and asked them why they didn't need water that currently week, you know, that they're going to need it, the 2,000 gallons on Wednesday like they normally do. And he said, we just had to get the dogs out just because we realized there was feces in there. They said it happens a few times a year. So it was not a statement.
Whatever. It's their business, madam. Just like this is your business. If you run a dirty place,
I don't. That's the whole thing.
Just a second.
My statements were true. Theirs were untrue.
Well, they don't run an irresponsible business. In your reviews, you're suggesting that they are irresponsible and also thieves, because in one of your reviews, you say they were shorting us on water.
Yes, they were.
That's what you say. And you said it not only a year later, you said it during the course of the year. And it was their business. Their business is as important to them as yours is to you. So if you're going to weaponize these reviews, then you both deserve what you got. You're not supposed to do that. If you were legitimately concerned about the dogs, you would have reported it right away. What this was tit for tat, so you deserve each other. Claim and counterclaim are dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Brenda, then Amber, and her husband.
My thing was that they accused us of breaking the law, and it was totally untrue. My statements were true. Whether they were in the wrong or not, they were true statements, and hers were complete fabrication.
I mean, we had been dealing with it for about a year and a half, so I was just really shocked when I received the paperwork in the mail, since I did delete the review, since she did threaten to sue me, so I did delete it.
Look at reviews, and if you can't find them, go somewhere else.
I wanted both of us to be successful businesses, because we live in a small community and our businesses do not, you know, we're not in direct competition with each other. So I wish her well, and I would hope she would wish our business well.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, people like me just learn to look at a restaurant and see what the reviews are. And you sort of assume that people of goodwill, if they're going to post something that's negative, it's because they had a negative experience. And I think it's such a shame that it's become a way to weaponize legitimate reviews where somebody, the plaintiff in this case, had absolutely no clue that the problem on Labor Day was her fault.
Yeah.
You know? She had a perfectly reasonable relationship with them for over a year. She said they paid him in advance. She never said anything about shorting water.
It's just the power of the internet. I mean, now today, I know there are people that will cancel businesses for reasons completely unrelated to the business, but if you act out, you say the wrong thing, you display a negative character trait in public, people will go to your business's page completely unrelated to anything in the business and just flood the page. I'm talking thousands. They will get thousands of people to write bad reviews about a business, especially if something went viral or if the owners of the business, if they were in a viral video that was not nice. You know, it's the power of the internet and cancel culture.
Well, you know, the internet can be a tool for good and wonderful, or as we know, it can be a very dark place.
Yep.
But it can't be a very dark place without mean-spirited or bad people. Yeah. And there are mean-spirited and bad people. You know, I don't know how you protect yourself from something like that. I really don't know how you protect yourself.
The consumer has to be smart in reading the reviews and how much weight they're giving reviews. I like when businesses respond to especially the negative reviews. And sometimes they're funny because if the defendants had responded to the plaintiff's review publicly, you know, so people like you and I who were thinking about using them for water delivery could see it, they'd say, oh, interesting. We called twice and you weren't home and you didn't have our money.
That's the response.
And so I like to see that because it calls out the person who left the negative review. But obviously there's downsides to a business. You don't want to get into a back and forth with every person that leaves a negative review. But sometimes when it's warranted,
he responds to it. But the response isn't to post a negative review about you.
Exactly.
You're right.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to Judy. Autumn Burke is suing her former friend, Freya Brown, for vandalizing her car and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2186, Burke versus Brown.
Thank you. Ms. Burke, I understand that you and the defendant met when you were both in foster care.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
And how old were you, if I can ask you these questions, if you're uncomfortable, please let me know. How old were you when you went into foster care?
16, I believe.
Were you originally placed in group homes?
Yes, and through Orangewood Foundation, as well as transitional housing programs.
When did you start transitional housing from group homes?
I started that when I was 17. That was in 2021, where I was roommates with Freya, and we lived there.
Okay, and could you describe the facility where you were living?
We were living in Tustin, an apartment complex where they rent out the rooms and they have foster kids go in there and then they pay, well, they don't pay rent, but it's a transitional program to move up to the extended foster care transitional housing program for after you're 18. So it's better to be placed into this one, so it helps foundation towards the next one.
Towards total independence?
Yes.
And how long did you stay in that facility, until when?
Like a few months after I turned 18, I got into the Costa Mesa transitional housing.
Okay, from Costa Mesa, do you go into any other facility through the foster care system, or are you then supposed to get a job and get on your own 2 feet?
So this program, the independent living program, it's really hard for foster kids to get into. You have to be set up with all the requirements, and so...
What kind of requirements? Are there academic requirements?
Yeah, academic requirements, working, going to school, meeting with the manager that comes in every week. Yes.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
What school were you going to?
Golden West College.
Are you still going to school?
Yes, I currently am taking a break from this semester, but I'm still going to continue it.
Are you working?
Yes.
And you living on your own?
I'm renting a room out in Irvine with 2 different roommates.
And Miss Brown, what about you? How long have you been in the foster care system, and how old are you now?
I've been in the foster care system since I was 13 years old. I am currently 19.
Tell me where you're living.
Right now, I live in a rented room in a house also in Irvine.
Tell me what you're doing.
Right now, I work in sales. I'm a sales associate.
Is it a full-time job?
It's part-time. I'm also in school. I go to Fullerton College, and I'm a biology major.
Interesting. Are you good in science?
I really liked science in high school, so yeah.
Well, you seem like 2 absolutely delightful ladies. I don't know why you got into this kerfuffle, but each one of you claim that you were assaulted by the other. You claim that Ms. Brown caused vandalism to your car. Ms. Brown says that you had her falsely arrested after this altercation, which seems to be an unhappy event over a guy.
Over a guy?
I mean, they're necessary evils, but over a guy. So 2 lovely girls who probably weathered a lot of storms in your life to keep together that most 15, 16-year-olds don't have to do. How could 2 nice girls get into a kerfuffle over a guy?
I have no idea.
Go.
Okay, so on September 2nd, near 10 p.m., I was cooking us dinner, and Freya's sitting at the counter, and then while I'm cooking dinner, I get a call from my ex, and he's just...
From your ex-boyfriend, not ex-husband.
Oh, yes.
From your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And his name is, what's his first name?
I would prefer...
Let's call him Cat.
Cat, yeah. So
you get a call from Cat. Do you know Kat?
Personally, no, I do not know him.
Have you ever met him?
No,
No.
I have not.
Okay. So now you get a call from Kat. And how long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Well, we just had a situationship, like it was just off and on, but he just called me and I just had him on the phone as speaker and...
So you had him on speakerphone, you're cooking her dinner, she's sitting at the counter.
Yeah, and he starts making flirtatious comments like saying if I had any cute friends near around, and I know it doesn't sound right, but...
It doesn't sound good, Miss Burke.
Yeah, but that's just like, I know him and that's like a different story, but regardless, then
So what was
Freya-
he, I want to know what he was saying.
Well,
you
he
have to
just-
tell me, because she probably remembers what he was saying.
I do.
So if you don't remember, I'll ask her. What did he say?
He asked in general if I had any cute friends near me or any around, just saying if there was any cute friends near me so that he...
Okay, so your ex-boyfriend calls you and asks you if you have any cute friends around.
Yes.
And you didn't just hang up on him.
Well, yes. I told him, I said that I can't like see him tonight and that he shouldn't be saying that. But the call ended because he had to go because he had to go back to work. So it ended quick.
Wait just a second. He must have said something that annoyed her.
That was it. He just asked
What did he
if I
say?
had...
Okay. You don't remember. What did he say?
He called her, they were talking for a minute, and then she was saying, you know, oh, I miss you, this and that. And he was like, can I come over? At which point she told him, oh, I'm with my two friends. And he was like, oh, what do they look like? Are they cute? How old are they? Which I thought was disrespectful to me and also disrespectful to her. I was trying to be a good friend. I informed her of it. And
No. So he was acting like a guy.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
Think before you talk. There's no filter here. So he's saying, oh, really? You can't come over? You have two friends? Ah, are they cute? Are they nice looking? And just to tell you, Miss Brown, I don't think it was disrespectful. I just think it's a stupid remark.
No,
Do you understand?
I understand,
It's
but
just stupid.
The tone and then the content, because it was on speaker, like I could hear everything. So
when he hung up, what did you say to her?
after they hung up, I didn't say anything to her. She said to me, she was like, you don't know him, you know, like we're in love.
And you said to her?
Basically saying, I don't know him. So I was like, yes, you're completely right, I don't know him, but I don't want to hang out with him, basically is what I told her.
Well, was he coming over?
No, I was just telling her, like, 'cause
And
he
what's
had
your
asked.
version? After he hung up, let me hear your version of what she said.
Okay, so after I hung up, it was just practically some of what she said, but it was more in an aggressive way and with a lot of attitude. And
show me.
I get done with the phone and I'm cooking, and then she wants to like humble under her breath and like say like, I don't know, just rude things about the call and like just looking at me weird. And I'm like, what's the problem? And I was
Okay, so she's looking at you weird and you say, what's the problem? And she says,
I don't know. She was going off and about, and then she started throwing trash on my counter and then threw it at me.
Your Honor.
Yeah, you did.
That is
no,
not true.
No, I have to tell you something. So far, it makes sense. But then I don't want you to tell me she just went from nothing disrespect to throwing food around the counter. That didn't happen.
That did not.
Okay, so before she started throwing the trash on my counter, she was saying how that I had attitude, but I was telling her that I didn't have attitude. I was trying to de-escalate the situation.
She had attitude. So far, we're not attitude. So far, she's mumbling.
No, that's what
you
she
said under
said.
breath.
Yeah, and then so she, I don't know, she would, like I said, it was a snap of a finger. Like, I'd never seen her switch like that. And, you know, I was confused. And then after she threw the trash, I told her to grab your stuff and get out of my house. And so I gave her time. She went in my room, grabbed her stuff. I waited by the door. I had it wide open. And she's just cursing and yelling and just like, I didn't want her in my house. And if I would have known she was like that.
No, let's not. Don't go down any tributaries.
Freya shakes her head. Caption, coming up.
When you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Okay, I'll see the video.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Autumn and Freya.
Autumn Burke claims her former friend, Freya Brown, owes for vandalism and an assault. Freya is countersuing for an assault and filing a false police report.
There's a piece that I'm missing from this story, but let's say they're following your timeline. It probably makes sense as you got into an argument, You said to her, you know, he's really not that way. He's really a nice guy, and I love him. And she said, well, somebody who really loves you doesn't say, I want to come over and hang out with your two good-looking friends. That could escalate into something that's angry.
Your Honor. Well, the thing is, when she did mention those things, they weren't calm as you expressed.
Yes.
They were, no, they weren't. They were very aggressive.
They could have been aggressive, but that's, they could have been aggressive.
I didn't see a reason why it should have been that way at all.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree with you or not, but I'm saying that common sense dictates to me that if you're on the phone with somebody that you still like, and that you're an on again, off again, and you can't come over today because I have two friends here. Oh, really? You have two friends? Maybe I'll come over and hang out with your two friends. She found that disrespectful. I actually find it disrespectful to you and disrespectful to him. You really have nothing to do with it, Miss Brown. Somebody else was being a schlemiel.
No, I mean, I wasn't saying like...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now you tell her to get out, open her things. She's out the door, and?
Well, no, she's not out the door yet. So then I have the door wide open. She comes, and then we're still, like, argumenting, and I'm trying to get her out of my house. She pushes me, and then I go back into... Yes, it is. I go back into the door, and then she starts hitting on my arm, like, hitting me, so I'm, like, defending back, and it was just crazy. Like, I didn't realize I had the door wide open for her to get out, like, peacefully. And
okay, so
that
she
didn't
pushes
happen.
you, she puts her hands on you, you put your hands on her, pushing. And up until that point, there's a lot of maybe pushing, touching the arms, touching the hand, but nobody is injured. Is that a fair statement, standing at the door?
Well, I got assaulted because I have the pictures to show that my nail came off.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Up until that time, did your nail come off during that time?
Yes.
Was it a real nail or a fake nail?
Both of my nails came off. Like, it was
on the same finger, you had a fake nail over your real nail.
And it both ripped off.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Kevin collects a photo from Autumn, then brings it to Judy. She reviews an image of a bruise.
Okay, I see a black and blue mark here that's under here. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And this is on your hand.
Yes.
What was this?
From blocking her hitting me.
What was she hitting you with?
Just her hands. Like, she was just like a cat fight. Like, she just went crazy. And so I was defending her out, trying to get her out of my house.
Okay. Did you respond to her hitting you?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do have
I'd like to take a look.
Freya hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews an image of a scratched forehead.
So I see a scratch above your eye and a little bruise on this part of your hand. Is that what it is?
Yes, on my wrist.
And then there's a bruise on, is it this part of your elbow?
My elbow, yes.
Okay, so now you're arguing with each other. You both get banged up a little bit. Now she's outside.
Yes.
And what did you do? You finally got her out the front door.
So after a few minutes, she called me and said, "Warning, I'm at your car." So when I heard that, I called the cops immediately, and I asked them to come down because I think she's gonna be vandalizing my car or God knows what. And then so when that happened, me and my witness, Jasmine, we walked down out of my house because I wanted to go see, like, if my car, like, what was going on. And so as I'm walking out, my car's parked over here. Freya's over here. And so when I'm walking out, then I meet her right here, and she has a brick in her hand. And yeah, she had a brick in her hand the whole time until the cops came, and then they arrested her, and they asked me if I wanted to file for assault and vandalization, and I said yes.
Okay, and when you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Yeah,
oh,
let me see the damage, and then I'll see the video.
Thank you.
Kevin collects photos from Autumn, then brings them to Judy. She reviews images of a cracked car window.
Okay, now I'll see the video.
Okay.
Footage of a hooded woman hitting the driver's side window of a vehicle. Two young men approach. The woman hurls a brick at the vehicle. She picks up the brick, then throws it at the car again. She repeatedly retrieves the brick, then hurls it at the car. She leaves. In the courtroom, Judy.
Okie dokie. That's where you were arrested, Miss Brown?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Okay. Can I see the estimates to the damage
Yes,
to your
ma'am.
car?
Kevin hands documents to Judy.
Tell me when you bought this car.
I bought this car on August 1st in 2022. It was my first car. I paid for it full, all by myself.
You paid for it in cash?
Yes, and a check.
Okay. How long had you been saving for the car?
Oh, I've been saving for it for years, like a few years, ever since I've been working.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid a total of, I believe, $7,300 and something dollars.
Okay. So the estimate to fix the car is $3,777.
Yes, ma'am.
And the next thing is the price of the vehicle, for which you paid $7,350.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Brown, one would say to you as a result of seeing that video, temper, 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 you may have a temper, you can't do what you did. Would you acknowledge that you can't do what you did?
Yes, I acknowledge.
Great. So that means that you have to take care of this problem.
She hit me first, Your Honor.
And we're not talking about hitting.
I understand.
I'm talking about vandalizing a car.
Caption, coming up.
She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you
self-defense.
took. No, she's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you.
Autumn shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Autumn and Freya.
Autumn Burke has accused her former friend, Freya Brown, of vandalism and assault. Freya claims Autumn threatened her with a knife and filed a false police report.
Neither one of you were hospitalized as a result of this assault. You got a couple of black and blue marks. Two girls
also
had a
threatened
fight,
me with a
and
knife.
that shouldn't have happened. But now the fight is de-escalated, and you went outside and purposely vandalized her car in a very, very aggressive way. And all I'm saying to you is, you understand that that was temper, temper, temper. You're not allowed to do that, and you have to pay for it.
She also threatened me with a knife.
She what?
I didn't.
Threatened me with a knife.
Just a second. I didn't see that when you were out there by yourself picking up a brick, right?
Yes.
And that was a long video. I don't see her in that video at all. I just see you picking up the brick, not doing enough damage, picking it up, doing a little more damage, picking it up, going to another side of the car, picking it up, going to the front of the car. I don't see her there threatening you.
She didn't threaten me at that point.
Right. Clearly, when you left the house, that ugly confrontation had been de-escalated.
It had not actually.
Of course it was, because you were out there by yourself. You could have gone. And if there was an ugly confrontation, you go to the police station and you say, I left my license in my friend's car. We had a fight. Could you come back with me on a standby and get my license, instead of using a brick to bash in her car?
My circumstances were different from Autumn's. I would like to inform you of that.
What were your different circumstances?
Well, I was supposed to be moving in 3 days, which Autumn was aware of. So had I called the police and been like, oh, I need this help, then I would have jeopardized my housing.
Oh, no, that's not true. Sorry about that, Miss Brown. If you called the police and merely said to them, I don't want to have an argument with her, that would not have jeopardized your getting into housing. Having this fight and vandalizing her car, that could prevent you from getting into housing.
That's what got me
I'm
kicked out.
referring
I'm
to
not,
that.
I'm just telling you, calling the police is not an issue. Going outside and for a period of probably at least 60 seconds and moving from different parts of her car and hitting it with a brick and bending down and picking up the brick again, that would prevent you from getting into housing.
I wasn't referring to the calling the police, I meant the fighting.
Oh, I'm talking about the fighting. $37.75, that's the cost of fixing the car. Now, the only other issue that you have on your counterclaim is for being falsely arrested.
Yes.
I would arrest you for that. You should be. Listen, if I came out of my house and found somebody bashing my property, I don't care if we had a long-standing feud. Well, I have a long-standing feud with her. We had an argument. We had a fight, whatever. That is not the natural progression of having an altercation with an old friend, going out and vandalizing her car. So your countersuit for being falsely arrested is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,775.
Your Honor, I'm going to be rightfully for losing my housing during that process because of that incident, because of the transitional housing program I was in. I got kicked out of it, and so I had 30 days. So I believe I should be getting for that as well because
Where's the head of the Department of Social Services to testify before me that the reason you lost your housing, if in fact you did lose your housing, was because of this vandalism? You have a witness here to tell me that?
I have the 30 days notice, if that counts.
May?
Yes.
I'll take a look.
Oh, here it is.
Autumn hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This says, letters to give you written 30-day notice to move out of the transitional housing program. You were involved in a verbal physical altercation which involved a weapon with another individual and resulted in the police being called on September 1st, 2022. When you entered the program, you were informed and signed paperwork agreeing to our program rules and expectations. Who was it alleged that had the weapon?
She had a knife.
I bought it as self-defense. I dropped it right when I saw you.
Just a second.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Just a second. No, but just a second. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you
self-defense.
took. No, it's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you. Your choice is to call the police and wait. Your choice is not to pick up a knife, because so far, this altercation has been a lot of tussling between girls that shouldn't have happened, but so far nothing involved a weapon. So you went outside with a knife, and according to the rules, you can't do that. And that was the reason that you lost your housing, because there's no other reason. It said it involved a weapon, and they listed the rules: drugs, alcohol, assault, danger, making threats. Well, you have a knife, that's threats, whatever. 3775, fix your car. You're not allowed to do that to her car. That's a hissy fit. Figure out how to do it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You should have been arrested for vandalism. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Autumn.
Well, I was in shock. I was like, wow, like over no reason, over my ex calling me, like, come on, like we're adults now. I'm gonna move on with my life and just go up from here and not down here where other people like to take me down to their level. I'm super thankful to have her handle my case today. She is a queen.
Judy and Sarah.
You know what I was really impressed with both of those girls, Sarah? You know, I know the foster care system, usually wherever it is, can be a brutal system to negotiate. And these two young women, at least on the surface, appear to have negotiated it in an orderly, reasonable way. I mean, she's living on her own. She evidently worked for a very long time because she saved up and bought her own car. That's a lot of response. That's a big deal.
And to even be able to figure out the system, which even as lawyers, sometimes we have a difficult time navigating things in the foster care system, to figure out this transitional program that better sets you up for the next step, that sets you up better for the next step. I respected that she took the time to figure out both their best possible options for navigating the system that they were placed in.
Both working.
Yes.
Both going to school to try to get themselves into a better circumstance. The defendant certainly is a biology major, which is fascinating
Not
to
our
me.
thing.
Not our thing.
Great for her.
But clearly, bright young women who made it to a place at age 19 that's really terrific. And supportive of each other, because one had a license, one didn't, so they were supporting each other. All very lovely. And get into a kerfuffle over nothing.
It shows just how fast all that work and all that preparation for the next step and for the housing can just crumble.
Can just unravel. Really sad. That's sad. But they seem like two nice young women, and I think that they have both of them have a shot.
Yeah, to make it back on track, and I hope they do.
Me too.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you a victim of an assault? Go to judyjustice.tv. Ritter is suing homeowners Jeff McNally and Angela Klingenberg for property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2164, Ritter versus McNally Klingenberg.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Robert.
Mr. Ritter, you own a piece of property.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And it's a residential piece of property?
That is correct.
And you use it as a business?
That is correct.
I would assume that this is your tenant.
That is correct.
Perfect. Could you stand up next to Mr. Ritter? What is your last name?
Mason?
Mason. These are your neighbors across the street?
Yes.
I live side by side.
So you're side by side, not across the street?
I live across the street.
Now, there came a time, Miss Mason, that you heard something that was unusual. Can you describe what you saw?
I was startled by the sound of a big thud and my dog freaking out and ran to the window. And so I jumped up, ran to the window where the dog as well was running toward, and looked out the window and seen the truck that had just hit the air conditioning unit.
Can you describe the truck?
A white truck pickup.
Had you seen that car before?
Yes, in the driveway next door to me.
So in his driveway?
Yes.
Did you see who was driving the truck?
I did.
Was it Mr. McNally?
It was not.
Who was it?
The young lady beside him, friend
Miss
across the street.
Klingenberg?
Yes.
When you looked outside, what did you see the truck do next?
As I looked out the window and made eye contact, I seen...
With her?
Yes, I seen Jeff at the back end of the truck, right by the AC unit, kind of backing her off a little bit, kind of gave her a raised hand.
So he was out there as well?
Yes, positioned behind the truck.
What did you do?
Well, I jumped up and then I ran and actually grabbed my phone to take pictures because I did not want to be responsible for what had just happened to the air conditioning unit. As I could tell, it had been moved and hit.
Do you have those photographs?
I did send those to Bob. He has pictures of those.
Kevin? Yes. Want to get them?
I immediately texted Bob as well, letting him know.
So that day, the 20th of August, you went, took photographs of the truck?
Yes, ma'am, and the yard and the air conditioning unit.
Okay.
Robert hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews an image of a bent air conditioner grill.
Mr. McNally?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where had you been camping?
We were camping in a place called McCall, Idaho.
Aside from you and Miss Klingenberg, who were there?
My son.
See how easy this is? It's going to get easier. Do you understand?
Jeffrey grins.
Okay. Now, is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. Now we got that clear. This is your girlfriend. You and your girlfriend were camping. Your son was with you. And what you were doing that day was you were trying to unload the truck with the camping gear, correct?
Correct.
Is the camping gear heavy?
Yes.
So somebody was driving the truck and somebody was schlepping the stuff out of the truck to put it away, right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. McNally, you don't want me to believe that either you or stand up, or this guy were just twiddling your thumbs and you backed up the truck so that you left Miss Klingenberg to empty the truck, right? You don't want me to believe that.
No.
Because that wouldn't be true, and that would be foolish, and that would make you certainly unchivalrous, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So when you were first confronted with this, you said, oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving, right?
Right.
So let's get it straight now, because that's what you wrote here in your answer. Oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving, my son was driving. That's not true. I don't know why you would choose to say my son was driving, not my girlfriend, unless she doesn't have a driver's license, because otherwise there'd be no difference whether your truck was being driven by you or your son or your girlfriend. Do you understand? No difference. Your truck being driven with you around hit his air conditioning unit. So what difference does it make? You have a driver's license?
I do not.
There you go. Perfect.
I was not driving, Your Honor.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. You were driving, and he says you were. You see, and he says you, just a second. You didn't see his face just now. He says you were. Now, how did I know you didn't have a driver's license? Do you have a driver's license?
Yes.
Yes. But how did I know you didn't? Where do you think I got that from? I got that from common sense, because Mr. McNally doesn't look like a stupid man. And there would be really no difference if he drove the car, you drove the car, the son drove the car, his car caused damage. But in order to perhaps have insurance cover it, if he had insurance on the truck, do you?
My insurance had actually lapsed.
What? Okay, so it really didn't make any difference. If you had no insurance, you could have said she was driving. But didn't think that far. Okay, so that's why we're here. We're here because you let an unlicensed driver drive your truck that was uninsured that you took on a camping trip. Is this coming together for me?
It's close.
So now we got that straight, right? The next thing we have to take care of are the damages. I see that the outer part of this air conditioning unit was definitely hit. Now the outside is merely a cover. So I need some evidence that this damage that he caused while she was driving damaged the mechanism of the air conditioner because you replaced the unit and you want him to be responsible for the unit, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I have to see a photograph because I don't have this photograph of the inside of this. I just have the photograph of the cover.
I do not have the inside, but I do have from 2 HVAC companies that did go out to service it. One that did the replacement, the other that came out second opinion, as Jeff had asked us to do, which we did.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
This will be the second, and this is the actual invoice for payment.
Kevin collects documents from Robert, then brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Oh, this is the second opinion. This says, second opinion call, 4-year-old Goodman air conditioning unit has been backed into. The unit has permanent damage to the condenser coil. Oh, well, that's the unit itself. That's just not the lipstick on it. That's the guts of it. This says immediate repair, replace condenser coil and damaged panels, $39.61.
Correct.
Replacing the unit instead may be an option to consider. And to do the whole job, what did he want, $5,000?
The other side, $34.50 to replace the identical unit. That
Okay, and
was
to
only 4 years.
repair
It was less money to replace
and
it.
to repair.
Correct.
Okay. Do you understand that now?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Your
So,
Honor.
based upon your request, he got a second opinion. Second opinion was for more money to repair. He chose the lesser of the two, which is to replace the unit. The ball is in your court, sir.
Jeffrey closes his eyes. Caption coming up.
Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it. You've had some time to reprocess it all. You would have had the boy, that's what you raised them for, strong boys. You wouldn't have said, well, you just sit in the car while my girlfriend unloads it. Take the hair out of your eyes so I can see your eyes. Perfect.
And later today.
I want to know how much you received from the insurance company.
$874.53.
Then can you tell me, I had a check from the insurance company, which was a little over $1,300 from their appraisal.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, that's what you wrote, madam. That's your signature, that's what you wrote.
A woman shrugs. The courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Robert, Jeffrey, and Angela.
Robert Ritter claims homeowners Jeff McNally and Angela Klingenberg owe for property damage after hitting his air conditioner.
Your car, uninsured as it was, driven by your girlfriend, damaged his property. Why don't you think that you're responsible for it?
We don't believe we hit it.
The damage is on your truck, sir. There's a picture of your truck here. You want to see it? Or you don't have to see it. You'd be better off just saying, you know what? I don't have the money. You'd be better off just saying, because we started out wrong, you and I, Mr. McNally. And the wrong started off was claimed his son was driving, even though Regina clearly saw his girlfriend. Okay, so that was a fib here.
Actually, Your Honor, if I may, there was just one front seat, a bent seat, and she was sitting in the middle, and Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it, sir. You've had some time to reprocess it all. That's not true. She was driving because if you were unloading the truck, you would have had the boy, that's what you raised them for, strong boys. You wouldn't have said, well, you just sit in the car while my girlfriend unloads it. You wouldn't have said that. Put your hand down. Take the hair out of your eyes so I can see your eyes. Perfect. Thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,800. It's not a good idea, Mr. McNally, to show your son that it's the right thing to do, not to tell the truth. That's a very good lesson that parents should teach their children right from the get-go. And accepting responsibility for what was clearly an accident. I mean, she didn't mean to back into his air conditioner, right?
Right.
It happened. It was an accident. That's why they don't call it an on purpose. It was an accident. But once you have an accident, you have to accept responsibility. That's what you want to teach him. And If he lifts his hair, he'll be able to see and be able to hear better. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Angela, then Regina.
We were all sitting in the front of the bench seat, so I was in the middle, and I think when she initially came out, she saw me sitting in the truck, but maybe she assumed I was sitting in the driver's seat, but I wasn't.
Nope, my vision was great that day. It did make me jump, and my dog was freaking out, so I definitely knew something hit the house.
I told him that my son and I were emptying firewood and that he may have hit his AC unit.
It's just sad, you know, that they had to do that and that the young man had to be involved when he really didn't do it.
Sarah and Judy.
That case was a great demonstration of how being well prepared and doing the right thing can make the justice system work for you in the right way. He had all of his evidence laid out exactly how he needed to present it to you, and he had the damage evidence, he had the photographs, and he did the right thing. He didn't try and get a whole new unit for the $5,000. He said, I'll get the 2 estimates if that's what you want me to do. So it just shows how being prepared and having all your ducks in a row can really benefit you when you come into a court system.
But my problem was telling the lie after you've sworn to tell the truth in front of his son, because those things remain embedded in your children. You want to be a good parent. The first thing you have to teach your children is to be honest. And if he sees that his father and the father's girlfriend are dishonest, that will become part of his fabric. Yeah. That's a mistake. So,
I agree.
But I think you are correct that it was a good lesson in preparing a case that made it easier to try.
True.
Kevin.
Case 2171, Cosby versus Warren. All parties, please step forward.
Shalea Cosby is suing mechanic Kevin Warren for the repair cost of a car and lost wages.
Okay, Miss Cosby. According to your complaint, you parked your car near your home on a side street. You came out the next day and you found your car vandalized. Car was a 2017 Hyundai Elantra.
Correct.
Did you buy the car new or used?
Used.
And how much did you pay for the car?
I put a down payment of $1,350, I believe, $1,350.
So you financed the whole thing?
Yes.
And you have to have insurance on your car. You have to have liability, collision, all that other good stuff because you have a loan.
Right.
And you did have insurance. Now, came out, you looked at your car and it was vandalized. What was wrong with it?
The back window was shattered, and along the side passenger top quarter panel, back passenger door, and the passenger mirror, it was shot.
You have photographs of it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Right here.
Shalea hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews images of a damaged vehicle.
Okay. Did you notify your insurance company?
I did.
On what date?
The same exact date, which was July 22nd, is when I came out and found my car vandalized. I submitted a police report. I have that right here.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
And
Kevin collects a document from Shalea, then brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Okay, nothing with nothing. Okay, so you told the police about it on the 22nd.
Yes.
And when did you bring it in for the defendant to take a look at it?
That was August 18th.
She brought the car into you in August?
Yes.
And how long have you been in the auto repair business?
16 years.
So you've dealt with insurance adjusters before?
Yes.
And did you make the appointment for the insurance adjuster to come and look at the car?
They never came to look at it. Sometimes they just have me submit photos if they don't have anyone in the field to come look at the vehicle.
Okay. Now, when the plaintiff came in and brought you the car, did you have a discussion with her?
Yes, I did.
And I want you to tell me the best of your recollection, what she told you and what you told her.
Okay, like she said, she brought me the vehicle on August 19th, and she told me she took it from another shop. She had a problem with another shop getting the repairs done.
Tell me what kind of problem you had with another shop.
It was no problems with the other shops besides they didn't want to do the estimate on it and told me to talk to my insurance about it. And my insurance told me to find my own shop, and that's when I found it.
Just a second. Did your insurance company send you to the first shop that you went to?
Yes.
And for some reason, that first body shop was unsatisfactory to you. So you took it to the defendant. This is what the story is. The story is the defendant still has your car, right? And he's keeping your car because he says you didn't pay for the repairs. It's your position that you gave him the entire check from the insurance company. Is that your position? Speak. Be very careful what you tell me.
Caption, coming up.
This is how her car looked when she brought it to me.
Oh, Miss Cosby, I have a feeling that you're not going to like the outcome of this.
Oh, no, I'm legit all the way around.
Oh,
so
really?
Those are the afterwards
Just
pictures.
a second. Hustler.
Oh, it's not a hustler at all, man.
Absolutely a hustle.
Shalea shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shalea and Kevin Warren.
Shalea Cosby claims mechanic Kevin Warren owes for the repair cost of a car and lost wages.
The insurance check went to you to
Correct.
cover the damage to the car.
Correct.
I'd like to see the check receipt that you received from the insurance company.
Shalea hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Look, we're going to have trouble with each other, madam. Do you understand? This isn't the only check you got from the insurance company.
If you're talking about a check in 2020, that has no relevance to 2022 vandalism check.
I want to know how much you received from the insurance company.
$874.53.
Then can you tell me, I had a check from the insurance company, which was a little over $1,300 from their appraisal.
No,
that's
incorrect.
Well, that's what you wrote, madam. That's what you wrote. That's your signature, that's what you wrote.
I see the paper. The totaling was $1,374.53. I didn't receive a full $1,374.53 check from my insurance. I received $874.53 and had to pay my deductible of $500.
When you brought your car into Mr. Warren, tell me what the conversation was.
Before I got to him, I let him know what was going on, what I was going through.
No, not let him know. I asked you what you said to him and what he said to you. First of all, you didn't like the first place that the insurance company sent you to. I don't know why. All I know is when you're dealing with this kind of thing, everybody's trying to make a little bit extra. And it's been my experience, and maybe I'm wrong, that when you have a little accident, you take your car into a body shop. Very often, if that's their business, they say, this is what you want fixed, this is what the damage was. And the person who runs the body shop or the owner of the body shop will say to you, I'll take whatever the insurance is, I'll work with the adjuster. Mm-hmm. That's what they usually do. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes. And in this case, is that what happened?
No.
Is what I'm asking you, because your complaint is that he has your car, won't give it back because he's put a mechanic's lien on it because he says that he did $6,000 worth of work on the car.
He did work that was not approved by me
Just a
nor
second.
my insurance.
I'm just telling you, that's what he says. He did $6,000 worth of work on the car.
Okay.
Okay? But I have to tell you, Mr. Warren, that has been my experience, and I'm very old, that when you take a car in that's been in an accident, they say, you know what, I'll work with your insurance company. And we all know what that means. That means that whatever your insurance company gives you, they'll send me the check. That will be what I'm going to accept for the work. Now, what you're suggesting is that she authorized you to do $6,000 worth of work, and you didn't speak to the insurance company.
I spoke with them plenty of times.
Oh, what did they tell you that they were sending her?
I have it here.
I'd like to see it.
I have 3 estimates here.
No, I want to see from the insurance company.
They're the insurance company estimates, not mine.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, here's the first one. Like she said, when she first brought her car to me, she had this one already for $873. Okay, so then what we do when we see more damage, we put what you call a supplement in. So I put a supplement in, and that's when they told me she has 2 claims. She has a claim for the auto body damage and a claim for the vandalism. The $874 is for the vandalism. If you look at these other 2 estimates, it's a totally different claim number.
May I see it, please?
That she put the claim in for. So these other 2 are for the auto body portion.
Not for the vandalism.
No, it's 2 different claims.
When she brought you the car, was there body damage on the car?
Absolutely. This is how the car looked when she brought this to me.
I'm not just talking about that. Can I see, please?
This is how her car looked when she brought it to me.
Oh, Miss Cosby, I have a feeling that you're not going to like the outcome of this.
Oh, no, I'm legit all the way around.
Oh,
so
really?
And those are the afterwards
Just
pictures.
a second. Just a second. This car was in a bad accident.
Yes, correct.
This car was in a bad accident. Hey, this car was in a bad accident shortly after you got it.
Correct.
Right. And you got a check from the insurance company to fix this.
Correct.
How much was the check that you got from the insurance company to fix this?
The total in amount, I'm not sure, but I think it was like 2001 or 2002.
And you didn't have it fixed.
No one wanted to fix it.
Well, he fixed it. Just a second. Hey, Miss Cosby, he fixed it.
Without my approval.
What did you do with the $2,000?
Oh, I paid my own personal bills because no one wanted to fix the car, so I have to keep living.
Your case is dismissed.
Okay.
How's that?
That's
Your
fine.
case. Hustler.
Oh, it's not a hustler at all, man.
Hustler. Absolutely, absolutely a hustle. I actually think you're a hustler. That's why I'm not helping you.
That's fine.
Because you had an accident in 2020, you got a check from the insurance company to fix it. I don't know how much that check was because you don't have a copy of that check. You brought the car into him and said, now I have a broken back window. I have a feeling, and I know it's only a feeling, but this is my program, so I can vent that feeling, that you went to the first place to fix the car and you said to them, I want you to fix the front and the back, and they said no. That was for something else. You already got paid for
incorrect.
that.
They
So you
didn't
went to
want to
him.
get an estimate altogether.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
You don't have to.
I don't. Well, I don't. I don't.
have to.
That's why your case is dismissed.
That's fine.
Now I'm getting to your counterclaim. Because you put a mechanic's lien on the car?
Yes, I have it here.
Great. So you've got a mechanic's lien on it. She can't sell it. I'm not giving it back to her. I'm not ordering it back to her. You have the car?
Yes.
Sell it.
I need that signature on that paper to be able to do so.
It doesn't matter.
From whom?
From her. Or you can sign it just to say.
Oh, I can't.
To turn over.
Oh.
That says she has no more interest in the car.
I can't. She does have an interest. The car's got a lien on it, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay? You're going to have to pay off this note. Do you understand? I don't think you're going to be able to get the money after you pay off the note. But you fixed the car.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're entitled to money for fixing the car on your counterclaim. She's going to pay on your counterclaim because I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to get any money on this car. I don't know what's going to happen with this car. I'm just not returning it to her. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make you as close to whole as you can be because I think what happened to you was a hustle. That's what I think. Usually I don't side with mechanics. It's just been my experience. But I think that...
I'm glad you changed today.
I think that this is a hustle. $3,800, judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim. Thank you very much. We're done.
Outside the courtroom, Kevin Warren.
Oh, I appreciate her decision. I believe she ruled the right decision because I brought all my paperwork and it wasn't no other way to rule it. Well, she said she wanted me to help her get her car fixed and that she was gonna get the insurance and pay me like she was supposed to do, but I guess once she got the money, she changed her mind. All mechanics aren't bad.
Judy and Sarah.
That was a surprise.
That was.
For me.
Did not think it was going to go that way when we reviewed it
When
earlier.
we talked about it, I looked at it. When we spoke about it, I said, you know, sort of using my life's history. Take the car in, don't worry, I'll work with the insurance company, does a little bit more work. The insurance company sends a check for a little less. But he wasn't at fault. She was the hustler.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to make an extra quick buck like a lot of mechanics that we've seen. He did the work.
He did the work. Because she didn't bring the car in there just for the back windshield. It's a hustle.
It seemed that way. As soon as somebody says, oh, that thing from then has nothing to do with why we're here now, immediate red flag.
Bing, bing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad that worked out. And
me too. I'm glad you gave him the money.
And she's not going to get her car. Perfect.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you a victim of a scam? Go to judyjustice.tv.
ম্যাজিক হয়ে গেল হেডশটের। এই ইয়া করো, এইখান থেকে রিভাইভ দাও, এইখান থেকে দাও।
আচ্ছা দাও মরে গেলে দেখছ কি জানো রাক্ষস দুধ এইগুলা ম্যাজিক আছে
না ইয়া দেয়া যাবে না এখান থেকে
তাড়াতাড়ি
আপনাদের একটা মুভি বলি আপনি এই জায়গাটা যদি পারেন এই জায়গায় যাই না এই জায়গায় গিয়া খালি কিছু অর্ডার দিলেন